I actually quite enjoyed the Punisher tournament in general, and even just
It's
the hype
great
of
fun
it
to
in the
watch.
background. It's really, really good to watch.
Especially because you can see it from the streamers' perspectives as well.
Exactly,
like,
exactly.
Even if you don't watch the main channel.
Yeah, it's really good for that. But I'm interested to see how the vibe is different when people are playing on dedicated servers against only other streamers versus the first one, which was just like a full-on melee free-for-all. Anyone can join. Literally, the entire community just turns up wearing the best armor and gear they can just to go in and just like wreck on people. It was, I don't know, it's going to be different because I quite enjoyed that about the first one. It made it really, really tough for the people who were participating because, the community came out in force just to, get as many geared players into Factory as possible.
Welcome to ScavTalk, an escape from Tarkov Podcast with a focus on development of the game, patch notes analysis, theory crafting, and general gameplay discussions. My name is Church. I dabble in content creation, live streaming, and video editing.
And I'm GigaBeef, a Tarkov YouTuber bringing mainly beginner and intermediate guides to help players improve their gameplay, knowledge, and confidence. And today, we're joined by Shifty, who I will let introduce himself.
So I'm Shifty. I'm an Escape from Tarkov Twitch streamer and tournament organizer, and dog tag extraordinaire. So I'm here today to, I believe, talk a bit about tournaments and the general state of Tarkov as it is, but I'm sure they'll tell me what topics to talk about and I'll just waffle on as always.
Exactly. And welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, how's everyone been? How's everyone's weeks? Good?
Pretty good.
My work week finished approximately 20 minutes ago as I got out of my car from screaming home from work because it ran late. I was doing a Zoom call with 100 old age pensioners that were talking about golf. So
that's thrilling.
That ran over an hour late. So it's been a long week.
How about you, Church? What's been going on?
Nothing much, man. A little bit of Tarkov, a little bit of being outside in the sun, working on furniture, and I'm so pale that the sun just absolutely destroys me. So I turn into like a lobster, but yeah, I got a little red tint going on. It's not makeup quality for the show or anything. Other than that, it's been good. It's been good.
Cool. Yeah. No, it's been been solid for me. I've not really had a great deal of time to actually play that much EFT. Honestly, I've been working on a video about Factory, which I think is probably quite well timed given the whole Punisher tournament. So it kind of like links in quite well with what we want to talk about today in general. But it's kind of the continuation of the aggressive playstyle that we've been talking about across the last couple of weeks. Trying to become better at the game. So I mean, in terms of new stuff, was there anything like that you wanted to bring up first? Just like we usually do, just chat about like new things that are being added. I mean, there's a couple of little points that I had to note, which is the
sure, go for it.
Leaks. Well, not leaks, but I guess it's battle state sort of like pre-announcements of various things. Weapons wise, being the Scar.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
I did see that. Yeah.
I didn't see the two variants. I think it's only the Scar H, right? I'm not like as I've said previously, I'm not like a mega guns expert, but I'm pretty sure it's the Scar H, which is like the 7.6251 version, right? The heavy Scar rather than like the 5.56 version of the Scar. So I don't know whether it's both or whether it's just the one. I think it's just the H version.
It looks like just the one. But it does look like they're obviously going to do the standard thing of bringing different length barrels, etc., which potentially would make it into the other versions of the Scar. Because from what I know, there's two different types of Scar. There's a more of a DMR style Scar that is got a longer barrel that is more for obviously marksman shooting, and a shorter barrel version, which is the kind of assault rifle that we all know. So I mean, I kind of feel like it's going to be interesting to see what variants and what attachments they bring to kind of match them. But I kind of feel like it's going to be quite like the SA58 in some respects.
Yeah,
I think I agree with that. I think the one interesting thing is like, again, like every time one of these things appears, I end up sort of like dabbling and looking into it and that kind of thing. Because the MDR is kind of similar from what I've read anyway, in that it's like interchangeable barrels and all this kind of stuff. But because of the way that it's implemented in EFT, it's kind of interesting how like the MDR is two separate weapons, right? You've got the 5.56 MDR and the 308 MDR, which are actually completely different guns in EFT, because the gun begins, like, obviously in real life, right? All the parts just fit together. It doesn't really matter what, but like in the way that it's constructed in the game, you have to start with something. And you start with that whole like trigger assembly thing, which does need to be replaced, I believe, for the if you're firing the larger caliber. And so that's why they end up not being interchangeable in any way, even though that's kind of like one of the MDR's things. You know what I mean? So maybe they will. I feel like they might go down the same route just because of the way that it's implemented. You might end up with the 5.56 SCAR, like, you know, lower base red piece, and the same thing for the 308 version, which kind of has that enhanced trigger assembly that allows it to fire the higher caliber. I think that's probably the way it will go.
Chat is saying that the only mags that they've shown for the gun are the 7.62x51 round magazines. So that kind of leads me to believe that they are potentially only bringing the one type, but I think it'll be an incredibly strong gun in the lineup, ignoring all of the real life side of the weapon, etc., and what it's like to actually use realistically. I kind of feel that the 7.62x51 ammo range is huge right now, and I feel like it's going to be an incredibly strong gun for the game in general, and could actually become one of the new metas as such for a lot of maps because of its versatility.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that ammo class is just insane. I mean, I like the MDR for a while because of the ammo, and it's full auto. There's only two, right? It's like the SA58 and the MDR that actually fire on full auto.
MDR,
This will be another one, right?
So it'd be interesting to see how much ammo you can put in the mags, because that's the difference, isn't it? Because the SA58 kicks like a mule, but it has a 50-round mag, whereas the MDR is incredibly accurate, but only has a 20-round mag, but a good fast fire rate. So it might be that they nerf the gun slightly by only allowing X amount of bullets in a magazine.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to see how modular it is. Maybe it'll be slightly lighter than the FAL copy and stuff like that. We'll have to see. I actually am kind of sad that they're not introducing. Well, if they don't introduce the 5.56 version, because it's kind of funny. I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, actually, there really aren't that many 5.56 weapons in Tarkov. There's hardly any. Like, it's kind of strange for such a ubiquitous ammo type. But I suppose it is a Russian game after all, so you kind of have to
I think they might do what they did with the MDRs. How they, like you were saying, they had like the black one, and which is the 308, and then the brown one, which is like the 5.56. But in the screenshots, though, they showed like a black one with like the CAC 20 round mag in it, and then they showed a brown one of also the CAC 20 round in it, which is like for the 308. So I don't know if that was like just a slip up, but I would suspect they would go how they normally do, given the trend of the MDRs. But who knows? I mean, maybe they'll do something new. You could change the barrel when you're mining.
I'm expecting a 40-round mag, personally. I'm expecting it to be similar to some of the M4 mags, because that's, from what my perspective, that's kind of what it's like in real life, is the 30-40 round mags do exist, and I kind of feel like that would be a good side of it. But it's kind of how do you balance that as such? How do you balance that against the fact that full auto, it's quite fast firing from what I remember. So it's how do you balance that and not break the game as such. But I'm really excited for a couple of new guns, to be honest, because I have felt that recently the ones that they brought out have not been my favorite of weapons. I know the Vector is a lot of people's favorite and has dominated the meta field early game. And now that we're kind of getting towards the late wipe scenario, I know that a lot of people are swapping it out for HKs and other weapons that they've got the money to. I kind of feel like there hasn't been a gun that's really riveted the late game of Tarkov in a while, and I feel like the Vector, although it is great, I feel that now everyone's running level 6 armors, etc. Actually, it's just another Val gamer, isn't it? It's just somebody that's got incredibly fast fire rate and actually doesn't do as well as some of the beefier guns when you're going into those high leveled PvP situations.
Indeed, we shall see.
It's no M61 at any rate.
Exactly. Right.
I'm actually really interested in like the tournament metas, because I remember the Punisher Part 2.
HKs. I can't say the word HK enough. Everybody in my tournaments runs HKs. It is a joke.
Interesting, Because in the Punisher one, I think the MP7 was like really popular, or anyone
So we
corroborate
we
that?
saw a few
I watched.
MP7s on Shoreline when we did a amount when we did it on Shoreline, and a few people said that they felt that MP7s were good if their ping was slightly higher. It gave them an advantage, but genuinely, it's HKs or SA58s with 30 round mags. That seems to be the what everybody goes and gears with, and then they change to the Vectors when they've lost too many of those guns and they feel that they want to tone down their gear sets a bit.
But sort of give us like the breakdown. Like, how do you set up the tournament rules? Like, what's your thought process behind that? Because obviously you want to have something that's entertaining, but you want to have something where
So
it's competitive as well.
it's really, really, really difficult, and I'm anything that I say, please take it. I'm not speaking ill as to any competitions or tournaments that are out there, and I know that there's a lot of tournaments that have a lot of different rule styles that I've looked and watched and learned from, and to try and come up with the face-off tournaments. But effectively, from my perspective as a viewer, there's nothing more infuriating than sitting down and watching somebody take a Mosin to customs and shoot a scav from over 200 meters to get a headshot. And those kind of objective-based tournaments for me are really dull to watch and hard to follow because you're not watching the same people over and over again. Now, I know that Evasion have done some really interesting things where they've done face-offs as such between two groups, so you watch their perspective at all times, and they keep track of what people are up to, and so it's a bit more interesting because you can follow their progress. But at the same time, you're just watching someone play Tarkov, and you know what they're trying to do isn't always is the best. So from my perspective, I tried to create a tournament that I felt was really interesting to watch, but quite exhilarating to play in. And it is quite punishing to play in as well. So we've done a few different variants. And the first way we looked at it was originally you were allowed to go in and do as many raids as you like, but you only got scored on your 3 highest raids. The idea being that you were able to kind of levy your bad raids with your good raids, and so you only got the 3 highest raids. But the audience never, ever, ever understood what they were doing. And so they'd always get really excited when GigaBeef came out with 4 kills, but he was 1 point lower than his 3 highest raids. And so those points were just useless and wasted points. And what we found were people were staying in raids for a lot longer trying to eke out the points because they wanted to try and beat their previous ones. So it led for quite confusing rule sets, and we found that the majority of people, especially with a few language barriers and getting people involved from Sweden and places like that, that actually it was more beneficial just to change our competition to an all-out free-for-all. So essentially what we've developed now, which seems to be the preferred method for 90% of our viewers and competitors, is essentially you get scored on every single raid that you go in, and the rule sets are always based on PvP, PvE, looting, and extraction. So you get bonus points for playing the game properly in terms of getting in, getting kills, looting specific items, and extracting, surviving, to try and keep the Tarkov element in there and avoid the kind of Call of Duty gunplay. But it also means that people that aren't necessarily the best PvPers in the world have a chance to actually compete at the highest level against some of these people and show off the fact that they've got incredible map knowledge. They can go find these items, they can find these scavs, they can find the scav boss, and they can kill PvE and loot and still get similar points to the people that just want to go straight to dorms and run and gun, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
we've tried to develop the tournament around everybody's individual play styles and keep it as entertaining as possible for the audience. And one of the ways that we can obviously do that is by ensuring that we try and get as much coverage and as much action as possible. So we're back to your question as to how we come up with the way that we create the rules, etc. Is when people sign up for face-off tournaments, they are asked what map they would like to compete on, and when we get to closing the sign-ups, we take the map that's voted got the most votes, and that's how we choose what map. And then I look at that map and say, right, how do I manage to get everybody to go to one location or a series of locations to try and increase the amount of PvP possible? Because everyone in our tournaments plays on one server, one lobby. So we actually get 90% of our players running up against each other at raid after raid. So we can literally watch, for instance, GigaBeef go in and kill Church, and then we go in and get killed by Church. We then change to Church's perspective and see him get killed by somebody else. And you can leapfrog through people's streams as and when they kill people, or as and when they get killed, to see the other perspectives. So it allows for a lot more of a viewer interaction and some incredible moments. I think in the last competition, the solos comp, we had within the space of 2 minutes, we had 5 people individually kill one after the other, and we jumped through each one. and we saw each kill as it happened, or each death as it happened, and then moved to the next perspective and saw the next perspective. And so, from my point of view as a tournament organizer, I managed to make that happen by saying, this specific map was customs, so you got 2 points for getting the machinery key. Now, anyone that knows the game knows where the machinery key spawns in dorms, so that's where they headed. So immediately, you've got all of these players going into the map and knowing that there's 2 points, potentially 8 points in that coat in dorms. Why not go and try and get it? So they all run to that area, and then we get to watch the PvP and carnage that follows, and the victor takes the spoils. So it's kind of looking at the map and trying to work out how we can make sure that people go to specific places without making it boring, and while keeping it interactive and true to the Tarkov survival nature.
I think it's a really cool way of looking at it. It's good. I mean, I played like in the first iterations, which I think were still pretty close to the way you do it now, to be honest. And like I remember distinctly going on to customs and there being the unknown key as part of the loot pool, as well as Salewers and that kind of thing. So people kind of gravitate towards that crack house, the gap between the one side of the map and kind of elbow, that kind of area. And it's like it's really good. It's a great way of getting people all in one place, especially on the maps that aren't factory. Because I think that's something that plays into the hands of like the Punisher tournament, and obviously the Labs tournament was a bit different, right? Because that's like a proper PvP tournament, and factory one is definitely too. But like it's so small, it's such a PvP oriented map anyway.
With so few people as well.
Yeah, I think like you do need to think about a way to make the other maps work, which I think you've done quite well. Which is what I quite like, because like, and the one thing that hit me about it, and like I know that you can't say anything about it, but I'm not a tournament organizer, so I can say what I like about it. And there's I think it was the Rivals one, which had like the crazy setup with all of the bingo cards and all that kind of stuff. And I like logged in and watched it for like an hour, and I couldn't really understand what was going on. I didn't really know what people were trying to do. There were people in like trios, but because it was most efficient to split up the tasks and do them separately, you end up watching 3 people in the same team on voice comms not speaking to each other. And I was weird. Like, I actually just stopped watching it because I was like, this isn't really that interesting. And so I
would completely agree. That was one of the tournaments I was talking about, because that's the viewer issue, is the players might well be enjoying themselves and competing, but that's only half the battle when it comes to a tournament. Actually, you might have 18 people playing in a tournament, but you have a couple of hundred people, if not thousands of people watching it. So actually, it's got to be more of a spectator sport than it is a competing sport. And although there's the opportunity to add competitive elements, my issue with with that specific tournament was the fact that it was really hard to follow. 2, one of the commentators had only played Tarkov once a week before, and so was constantly asking dumb questions, which might seem okay to some of the newer viewers, but for hardcore players like ourselves, etc., and for people that know the game, actually what he was asking was detrimental to what was happening on screen, because they were busy trying to explain something and missed the action as it was happening. And then for free, they had obviously Sigma joining them for that. And I just kind of felt that Sigma ended up holding their hand through the tournament process, almost as if they expected to come to Tarkov and do a Twitch Rivals Tarkov. Now, if you go and watch the Twitch Rivals League of Legends, or if you go watch the CSGO or any of the other Twitch Rivals, they're incredibly good because they're very cut and dry games. You can learn those games very quickly, and it's a run and gun action. Tarkov has got so much depth to it. Actually, their downfall was trying to do too much in that tournament and making it far too complicated.
Yeah, one interesting thing about that actually is it's funny that you said that, because I wouldn't have brought this up before, but given that you've said it, you've reminded me. In that I used to play a lot of Dota 2, and before moving on to PUBG and then Tarkov afterwards, and Dota actually used to have separate casts for new players and experienced players. So to have like the regular cast, but a lot of the tournaments will actually run a new players cast alongside, where things are being explained and that kind of stuff. And that's really the way that you want to go with that kind of thing. If you want to cater to new players, that a lot of tournaments just don't cater to new players, and they just run them as if they're actual sporting events or something, right? Where you assume that people know what's going on. But if you do want to cater, you really do have to segregate that, I think, and split it up into a separate stream, because the viewer experience is so different for somebody who knows the game in and out and is watching people play at the highest level and can appreciate what's happening without being told, versus somebody who's like, oh, this is really great because of this, that, and the other, or this is, normal people can't do this, or that kind of thing. It's it's a very, very different experience. But
You also have the player replays. So one thing they're missing from Twitch Rival is an instant replay function. Now we all know that streamers out there know how to do it and know that they can add it in there. But the production value on some of these competitions are actually incredibly low from the point of view of when you consider when you watch League of Legends or something along those lines, they will actually bring back a play-by-play and a breakdown of what happens. And so although during the actual live thing, the commentators are talking really, really quickly and they're going through and they're talking about everything that's happening and you see that person kill that person kill that person, it's really hard to follow along, but they get through it. Then they're able to take that and break it down at the end of the game and say, oh, this was the real game-changing moment when this team did this. And you can see that this person comes up from behind, they use their teleport, and they actually explain it and break it down for the people afterwards so they can see why it was such a game-changing moment. So I kind of feel like those production values on Tarkov are completely missing. And it might very well be something to do with BSG in the way that we've got literally no replay functions and it's very difficult to do stuff. And me knowing from a live event perspective, if you wanted to capture and try and redo those situations, if you didn't catch it on the live stream, you need to be recording every single individual perspective, which gets incredibly difficult when they're not in a live tournament situation because you don't have their PCs there. You're trying to do it all over the internet. So actually, I think that part of the issue potentially is the fact that the esports scenes for Tarkov hasn't got to a point yet where any one person or any one organization is actually able to deliver a full esports experience. And I know that people have come close and I know people are trying, like myself and Evasion and all the other competitions and tournaments out there. I mean, there's hundreds. There's one tomorrow from the Swedish esports teams. There's mine on Sunday. You've got Evasion that overlaps both of them. There's tons of competitions out there. But the issue that we have and the issue that I have is everything that I do for my tournament, I do myself. And I have a team of mods that help me on the day. But all of the manpower is done by myself. So I've got a full-time job, I've got a young son, and I've got my stream as well. And I've put a lot of effort into my tournaments, and I've probably got one of the best back-end systems in the entire thing. So separate to the Pestily, taking advantage of BSG, I now have a live web page where you can go on and see exactly what everybody's doing on their scorecards. So you can see how many players if they've killed. You can get live reports. You can literally see the entire back end of the system live, including leaderboards, the works. And I've done that through perseverance and trying to get it set up to a good level. But the amount of investment of time and labor that's gone into that is months and months of work. And the issue that you have is that is pure time based. But I don't have the hardware to be able to do what I want to do with my competitions and tournaments. And once I'm able to upgrade my PC, then you'll see a dramatic increase in the amount of people I can have in tournaments and the amount of quality that's in there. But I mean, God, if you got me to do this with the company that I actually am a manager at, if we were doing this as a paid job, then I would be able to produce the best damn tournament you've ever seen because I'd have all of the hardware to do it. And I'd actually have professional streaming software and professional machines that we use essentially to be able to do that and provide live instant action replays and actually have commentators in a commentator booth and do the whole 9 yards. But the issue is finance. So actually, I think that what BSG are doing in the tournament scene, and this is my opinion, is actually they're dipping their feet into the water while it's in alpha, essentially, while the game's not released. And they're letting Pestily do it and giving her a big prize pool. But I'm really sorry. If you watch the Punisher tournament, it's absolute garbage. Like Pestily does a great job of keeping up with it, but they have 50 people competing and you only see the top 10 players that you don't really get through the majority of the people in there. And the way they do it is they literally open a new tab, click on a link and load their Twitch stream. Like, I'm sorry, but that is completely unacceptable for something that's giving out the best part of 50 grand in prize money. My tournament's fucking better than that. I am damn right sure that my tournament is so much better than that. But I don't have any of the backing or the commitment from BSG to be able to do it. I'm having to do it all off my own back. So I kind of feel that actually, although they're putting effort in with the Punisher tournament, and I think Pestily does a great job and is the right person to do it, I feel that actually what he needs is a proper back-end support system from technicians to actually run the tournament so that he can concentrate on commentating and actually running it from the viewer's perspective rather than having to click and change perspectives himself. I mean, that's the biggest detriment in that competition.
See, I think like this is kind of why I was excited to talk to you about it, even though I know that it's like a harsh appraisal of the scene. But this is because it's new, right? BSG never intended Tarkov to be an esport, really.
No.
And it's kind of gone that way because people love the game and get good at it, right? And I think they're sort of semi on board with the way that it's going, and it's an organic thing for them. But as an event, like I wouldn't know where to start really, right? I'd have to start from scratch. But as an events organizer, right, you already know what is possible, so you kind of know like what you would like it to be like at the end, because it's what you do for a living, and
it's
so
what
you
I'm
kind
working
of
towards.
yeah, and so it's kind of like like how you want. Like how you would want it to look if you were running like the biggest tournaments, or whatever. You kind of need to do like a JV with Pestily or something. Like just get him to like use the company that you work for to like
I
run a
would love to do
tournament
something
or
like that.
Can you
But
imagine?
how do you even talk to him? That's
I don't know.
the point. I mean, you've got us down here in our Twitch level, and you've got the people above us, and then you've got him who's in the top 0.01% of streamers. I mean, he gets probably 1,000 solicitations a day to be talked to. So
maybe not for something so specific. I don't know, but anyway, that's kind of a different topic, I guess. But
yeah, I mean, my hope and dream is that one day BSG will actually recognize what I'm doing. And in fairness, we've got a lot of the ambassadors that compete in the competition, and they're incredibly nice people, and they get involved. And I kind of feel that the more that we do our competition, so we do a tournament every 2 weeks, a solos, then a doubles, then a solos, then a doubles. So the more competitions we do, the more support we get, the more viewers we gain, the more hype we get, the closer we get to being actually a at home brand in the Tarkov tournament section. And the more I feel that actually we'll be able to grow. And I've definitely, one thing that I'm really proud of, and I'm sure there's people out there that have watched quite a few of the tournaments, is the fact that with every single one we introduce something new and we improve. So we're literally trying to pave the way and do stuff before other people do them. And it's like we were doing the live player facts on screen before Evasion did them. We've been doing live leaderboards since pretty much the second tournament, and we've also been doing. So we now have the live website to match the Punisher tournament, where you're able to see how many PMCs that someone's killed, how many scavs they've killed, how many tournament players. You literally get a full breakdown of all of the players' statistics. That's just at the touch of the button. So our biggest aims are to help streamers grow, and also to get ourselves on top as one of the best tournament providers in Tarkov, and keep them open to everyone. So although there's an application process, we have players from that are Twitch streamers and that aren't Twitch streamers. So we make sure that anyone is able to apply for our tournaments, regardless of how big they are on Twitch or not. Our only stipulation is that you don't have to be a Twitch streamer, but you have to be able to stream on Twitch. And that's purely so that we're able to watch it and enjoy the spectator sport of it. So that's the motto that we always try and champion. And I feel like we've definitely gone a long way to try and make sure that we can involve as many people as we can, regardless of their station.
What do you think about the whole private service thing for BSG? Because this upcoming Punisher tournament, which I actually quite enjoyed the Punisher tournament in general, and even just
it's
the hype
great
of
fun
it
to
in
watch.
The background. It's really, really good to watch,
especially because you can see it from the streamers' perspectives as well.
Exactly, exactly.
Even if you don't watch the main channel.
Yeah, it's really good for that. But I'm interested to see how the vibe is different when people are playing on dedicated servers against only other streamers versus the first one, which was just like a full-on melee free-for-all. Anyone can join. Literally, the entire community just turns up wearing the best armor and gear they can just to go in and just like wreck on people. I don't know, it's going to be different because I quite enjoyed that about the first one. It made it really, really tough for the people who were participating because, the community came out in force just to, get as many geared players into factory as possible. And in some ways I feel like I don't know whether I feel like maybe it would be better.
You've answered your own question, because the if you compare Punisher 1 to Punisher 2, now ignore the fact that they were on different maps with raiders, etc., etc. Essentially, Punisher 1, the players, although some of them really enjoyed playing, it made it incredibly hard for them because the level of stream sniping was the issue.
Yeah.
The amount of people that had a lot of people that were literally trying to queue in to go in and kill them made it really, really difficult. And I would completely agree. If it was random, it wouldn't be an issue. But it's the fact that they lose their advantage because there's stream sniping and people trying to get in the same raids. And we know that with Factory being a 5 people map, you can get to any of the spawns within less than a minute of spawning. And the majority of the fights are over in less than a minute. So actually, if you've got 4 hours to go in the factory and you're being stream sniped for 4 hours, which is the issue that a lot of the streamers had, it's incredibly grinding because you're literally talking about the potential of doing, upwards of 20 raids every hour if you're going in and dying in less than a minute. And it becomes incredibly soul destroying. And I know full well that there were people that stopped playing in that tournament because of the level of stream sniping, which is why such a high value and high esteemed tournament went to the PTS public test server, and that's the private server that they use to do the competition is the private test server, public test server. So I kind of feel like it's a huge thing to be able to offer people the chance to play on the public test server to do the competition. And I think actually it worked really well in Punisher 2 with the labs competition. And they were able to limit the rules as such as well, because everyone was given a fresh account. Everyone was given the same amount of stuff similar to the first one, but they only had to compete against other people that had the same stats and money as them. So everybody started on a level playing field. So there wasn't anyone having to deal with following the Punisher rules, but then having 100 stream snipers coming in that weren't following the Punisher rules to try and kill them. So I feel like it truly gives them a level playing field and an even chance of winning when they do it on a private server. And if I'd do all of my competitions on a single server, as I said, and if I could have a private server, I would 100% jump at the chance, even if I had to put a bit of a financial element into doing it or paying a bit of money to do it. I'm sure that everyone would prefer to do that than the way that they currently do it. That's my feeling anyway.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, it may be like more entertaining. But you definitely, the more of a direction you go with this esport thing, you don't want to compromise your competitive integrity. You don't want the inverse could happen. Someone could stream snipe you and just be like, "Oh, I'm a potato, la la la. Don't mind me. I got a slick and a couple GLs for you, friendly streamer." So it's like it really opens up a can of worms.
Especially with the invention of the GL. I mean, could you imagine if they did it on Factory now? The amount of people that would go into with its GL just to wipe out people. I mean, that is how you lose the best of the best from ever competing in your tournament. Is giving out that kind of information and letting people compete against you. That's the issue that you have when doing it without the public test servers. But I completely agree. This is the half the battle is the spectator side of it. It was hilarious to watch. Like seeing somebody run around with a foot armor and a masker, hatcheting one of the players to death is just brilliant fun. And to be completely honest, fair play on that guy who did it constantly. But you still have to remember there's a bit of spirit in competition, and that's why there's no doping allowed at the Olympics, and that's why there's none of anything else allowed in any other competition, because it's essentially a form of cheating. And this is kind of not the player cheating, this is the audience cheating to ruin their competition. It's like going to a horse race and only opening the first 2 horses gates and letting everybody else wait for 5 minutes and then opening it. It's detrimental to the competition and the end result. So letting people have an even playing field, there is no way that they can then refuse and rebut against it. So for instance, Punisher 2, Tweak stopped playing because he ran out of money, and he said that he wasn't prepared to sit there for 2 hours and run in with a hatchet when he'd lost. He knew that he couldn't come back. He knew that he didn't have anything that he could do. He'd spent all his money, and his only option was to go into labs with a hatchet, and he said he wasn't prepared to do that. And that's because I kind of agree. It wasn't in the spirit of why he joined the Punisher competition. And there was a lot of people that shouted out against him giving up and stopping competing. But I think that's like did not finish. I mean, that's someone that ran out of money and just couldn't continue. I completely agree with what he did, because I don't feel that it would help anyone with him just running around with a hatchet feeding kills to other players, which is essentially what he said he didn't want to do.
Yeah,
I was kind of surprised when I first heard about that, but then because I went to go and watch his stream a little bit and like rewound it a bit, and I was like, after sort of seeing a bit of it, I was like, yeah, actually that's kind of like fair enough. I mean, he actually said that he kind of regretted quitting like that, but then again, it's.
But I get why he did it in the moment.
Like, what else are you going to do? It's not going to be entertaining if you carry on. And
all he would be doing is feeding kills to other players, and then he's going to get accused of
an advantage to some other people.
Exactly.
Whatever. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's just like the entertainment value of the tournaments. I feel like because Tarkov's so not esporty, and there's so many,
Mm-hmm.
there's so much randomness anyway, and that like you don't know who you're going to be placed against, you don't know which spawns you're going to get, and all this kind of thing. I'm not sure if it's like, to me, because it's not a pure esport in that sense, it doesn't bother me as much, and I'm normally quite purist about this kind of thing, but it bothers me much less with Tarkov. And I guess, yeah, maybe that's just because of the way the game is and the way it's evolved, and kind of like how it is to play it in the first place, in that it's not very
What
esporty, that
doesn't
it's quite
bother you?
intrinsically the
I'm confused.
the requirement to play on like the private servers as opposed to the public servers, and the entertainment value of it. Because I think like you end up with the private servers, you end up like, 'cause the one thing that Tweak actually said that I thought was quite interesting is that Tweak is clearly a very, very good EFT player, right? Like he came, did he come third in the first Punisher or something? Like the guy,
he was ridiculously good.
yeah, like the dude's a monster, right? But
He's
he
come high in
actually,
evasion as well.
yeah, he said himself, he was like, I don't play labs all the time. He was like, the caliber of the players on labs is absolutely out of this world. He was like, got to hand it to the guys who play labs all day, every day, right? Those guys are absolute monsters. And in some ways, I feel like it diminishes slightly. It's quite like, it's quite fun to see someone like Landmark just turn up and just wipe like 5 people, right? Like if you're against other streamers only, like it is more competitive. I agree, but I quite like the fact that there's like the wild card thrown in there from the public servers, because it just adds that sort of element. And the people aren't as good, right? And so even if they're highly geared, it was kind of like watching when everyone was doing the snowball challenge, right? I absolutely adored that, because you've got like the people who are like the best in the world at the game using absolutely trash kit and killing people anyway because they're that good, and I loved that, right? I thought that was amazing. So for me, I don't know, like it's kind of more about the entertainment value than keeping the purity of the esport, just because of the way that the game runs.
I agree. The last comp you played in, GigaBeef, we had Landmark wipe an entire lobby, like
I was about to mention
six
that.
players. Like we had him kill 6 players, 3 teams in one lobby, and literally he ran through and he was doing the snowball challenge when he did it. So he managed to kill 1 player with a shotgun, got his level 6 armor, level 6 helmet, and a HK, and then just ran through the rest of the map. And so I mean, I have to admit, having one server selected is challenging, and we don't advertise what servers we do. In fact, we actually actively try and dissuade people from sharing any information about servers and stuff that we choose, because of the point that actually by having one server and one lobby, it's a lot easier to stream snipe. But we, as a spectator, we see a lot of in-tournament fights, which is what people really enjoy seeing. But you still have the wild card entry of those people that aren't in the tournament, where a 5-man can turn up in your raid and suddenly a 2-man is pitched against a 5-man, and you see some incredible action. Even if they do die, like from a PvP perspective, it's so much more fun to watch than anything else. And I do agree that the issue with the Punisher tournament doing it is the money element. So for my element, you get a trophy, you get a dog tag, like it's no monetary value. Essentially, it's a memento, it's an achievement. But when you're playing for like £50,000 or $50,000, whatever the hell it was, you kind of got to expect that there has to be some form of normal. I can't think what the word is, but what do they have to do with like gambling and stuff? There has to be some sort of regulation to the tournament to ensure that everyone starts on an even playing field, and that you can't interfere. Essentially, like it has to be played out because there's money on the line. And I mean, let's face it, if you were playing and your last raid, you're in first place, someone kills you with a GL on your last raid that wasn't anything to do with the competition, and it means that you slip down to second, how pissed off are you going to be when you've been winning for the last 3 hours and 59 minutes, and someone then goes over you? It's kind of, it would be soul destroying. If they were in the competition, it's fair play, but because somebody came in and used a GL against you randomly as a troll and stream snipe you, it kind of, to lose out on money is much bigger than to lose out on a dog tag.
Yeah, I think it is different when there's money involved. If it's like a big tournament and it's like people are actually playing for proper cash, then it probably it is more serious then, and there is a much stronger argument, I think, for then it's like as much for the players as it is for the spectators, rather than just being for entertainment value. It's people's real livings and incomes, and then it is there's a much stronger argument there for regulating things.
Yeah, bigger investment. So you definitely you don't want to play a tournament like I was reminded of back when Apex Legends was like the hot thing. They did a Twitch Rivals event and they just used like the public servers and they would just like sort of like capture the streamers play. And a lot of people were really upset because I mean it was for cash prizes, but like the amount of just like RNG you would get because you get people, you know, just randoms. You're not competing against other competitors. You're competing against public lobbies. So like some guy lands and like some dude's like completely new to the game and he just like kills him and gets a free kill and that's like huge points. I mean, so for sure, like anytime they have this cash money involved, the more it like focuses on an even playing field, these dedicated servers, I think it's a good thing. And the devs express interest in Tarkov Esports. Like they think it's interesting. Especially
which is where face-off comes in. Because that's the point of we don't have cash prizes because I have to fund them and I can't afford cash prizes.
Mm-hmm.
And so until we get some really nice sponsor, GigaBeef, who wants to put money up to become a sponsorship and provide prizes, everything that we get is off of my channel. So it's through the my own pocket and everything that we get donated essentially. And so I mean I've come up with a whole dog tag system, which is a trophy that I can have made and they're personalized to the winners. And I've got pictures of them and stuff. I've got one in front of me here, but they're essentially just dog tags with people's information on.
Those are cool, yeah.
And it's a physical reminder as to one who they were, but how they did in the competition. So every tournament winner in Face Off gets 2 dog tags. They get their own personalized dog tag, and then they get the Face Off dog tag that has the name of the tournament, the place that they came, so first place, and then it goes through and it gives them their how many players they killed and any tournament stats that we agree on between us that they want to put on there. So how many points they got, how many kills they got, and all that kind of stuff. And they get a physical memento for it. And so, I mean, from our perspective, doing a competition every 2 weeks, it's manageable for me to be able to give the dog tags out to first prize winners. But it also means that potentially if you came second, you might want to buy your own trophy so that you've got that memento. And it's a physical reminder of how you did. But doing them so often, I'm kind of seeing the Face Off as the Sunday night competition every 2 weeks that you're able to sit down and enjoy for a few hours and just watch some good content and good PvP on a different map every single time. And I'm trying to corner the market on not the big events where they do it once every 6 months or once every year like Punisher or the Evasion Opens and stuff. It's more we get the regular, Sunday football, Saturday football as such in Tarkov, where we actually have the regular tournaments where people can, choose to compete, but also turn up to watch. It doesn't take hours and hours and hours. They're either 2 hours or 3 hours long, depending on the competition, and they're region based. And we give out prizes, and it's just fun to watch. It's just a relaxed Sunday evening before you have to go back to work on Monday. And so that's the kind of way that I like to view it. There's something for everyone, whether you want to compete in a high level competitive play against some ridiculously good players, or whether you just want to sit back and relax and watch something that's really good fun every couple of weeks rather than have to wait every 6 months.
One thing that I really like about those ones and the fact that there's the much higher frequency is that people often ask the question, once you get to the highest levels of EFT and you've built out your hideout and all this kind of stuff, it's just what is there left to do? Well, this kind of answers the question, right? Because it's well, you've got this thing to look forward to, every week or every other week, and you can enter as many times as you like and give it a go, right? And just and there's as you say, it's kind of like Sunday football kind of thing, where it's there's a pool of people, there's generally similar people entering each time. It's neat, right? And it's it's building the community as well as giving people something to do within the game, because we're you're creating your own rule set that gets applied over the top of the game, and people are just sticking to that rule set because they've just agreed to it, right? It's like building your own story within the game. It's a piece of content in and of itself. Which I think it's really good. I think it's really good for kind of the longevity of the game, and it gives people something to work towards, and it kind of puts a structure and a framework over the end game of Tarkov, as much as any of the tournaments do. But given that yours is so accessible, it's one of the reasons why I liked it so much, and thought it was interesting, as you say, rather than the one that comes every 6 months. People build up to, which is nice, right? And you need in the community, you need both. You need tournaments that people are really hyped about, that get built up. People are practicing for, training for, that kind of thing. and other ones that are more accessible and kind of give people something to do, on a kind of bi-weekly sort of basis, that kind of thing. It's I think it's
It's
cool.
good.
It's my dream to kind of, I mean, at the moment we've got 16 spaces, whether it be 8 teams or 16 players, depending if it's doubles or solos. And that's because that's the hardware that I've got in front of me. That's what I can handle to bring a good content and a good production value. Because I have all of the live streams up at once and I'm able to switch between them all so that we're able to, you don't have to click on something. We can see what's happening. We can go to a multi-view and see everybody's perspective. And I want that to increase as my hardware gets better, but also to run more events as such. So, for instance, we only have one EU and one NA competition for each every 2 weeks. I'd love to, when we start getting a lot more applicants through and we've got more staff and more mod support, the future would be to, add in potentially a couple on a Friday evening. And then you do Friday evening and Sunday evening. So that if you can't play on the Sunday, because all my comps are on Sundays, then potentially on the Friday you could have EU1 and an NA1, and then on Sunday you have EU2 and NA2, and essentially they're 4 individual competitions with 4 individual winners for each one. But it means that you can have a bit of fun, and then potentially you start getting into the idea of having heats, which we've experimented with, where you can have Heat 1 and Heat 2 for EU, and then the winners of the top X players go through to the final of EU and stuff. So you can start making it into more of a league table. But the one thing that I'm very much aware of is that from my perspective, it takes a lot of admin to be able to do all of this, and I wouldn't be able to do any of that on my own. I'd have to have a team of people to help organize and do the admin. I mean, I've already had 4 teams pull out today. I've had to fill spots for, and when someone does it, it's not just taking them out. You have to change them on all the artwork. You have to change them in the scorecard system. You have to change them in so many places, and it's every time someone drops out, it's about half an hour's worth of admin to go through and rejig it so that it's accurate everywhere. And when you do that, 4 times in one day separately, kind of gets to the point where actually you just give up and you just do it at the end of the day, and it takes a long time. But so the admin is huge, and so by doing a lot more tournaments, we'd need a lot more help to do that. And so from my perspective, it's the by doing more tournaments and more regular, it's not just myself that I'm also putting the time in. It's the people that play, it's the people that watch, and it's the people that also give us on the day mod support. And what I don't want to do is try and get everybody to be in my channel all the time having to work, essentially, to try and bring something great. And it's to try and balance that out. So it might be that we might end up changing it so that 1 month we do a doubles competition and you do heats and then the final at the end of the month. And it might be that the next month we do the same with solos, and so you split it up on a month-by-month basis. So there's lots of ideas floating around on how we can improve it and how we can progress in the future. But I think right now we're just going to run this format for a while and see how it runs. And we've got a mod team for EU now, and we've got a mod team for NA. So it's only myself and my co-presenter that end up staying on for both competitions. So on a Sunday we normally run for around 8 hours, 9 hours in total. To get both competitions in and the gap between them and stuff. So it's a long time to ask the moderators on the back end to sit and do both competitions. So we're trying to get our onto our feet before we start to run and head off to try and beat the big guys. But it's definitely a lot of work. So if anyone's listening and wants to get involved in some way or moderate, then please feel free to message me. There is a thing in the Face Off Discord that allows you to apply to help. It's a lot of fun, and as well, if you moderate on free competitions, you also get a free dog tag. So if you're a moderator in free competitions, this is something new that I'm bringing in. If you moderate on the back end for free competitions and help out, then I'll provide you a moderator's dog tag to say thank you. My little sale pitch there. But it's just trying to give some people a way of giving up their Sunday evenings every couple of weeks to try and help, because that's the most difficult part. Is if I'm commentating and running the stream, having people to verify the scores and make sure that
I can
everything
imagine.
else is fixed is also difficult.
It's definitely a lot of work.
Yeah,
I don't envy some of the admin that you have to do. I mean, you see it as well on Festiles when he's running his, and it's just takes a lot of manpower.
He's got BSG. He doesn't have to worry about a leaderboard and the points because BSG will do all of that for him now. So he cheats. That's my opinion.
Have either of you two tried a Punisher tryout as of yet? Have you given it?
I don't even know if I can qualify, because don't you have to be partnered?
No, you be affiliate
I think
plus.
you do have to be
So
affiliate.
you have to be affiliate, and you have to record yourself doing an hour on factory and kill as many PMCs as you possibly can.
Yes.
And so people are getting upwards of 40, 50. I think some of them might even have got 60. I'm not sure.
60?
PMC kills within
Really?
an hour. I'm pretty sure I've heard somewhere that someone got 60 or 61 PMC kills, but that
I
might be wrong.
heard about 50. The 50s
Well,
region.
there's definitely a
Crack,
56. But
Yeah. I wonder
54 was the highest
why.
last.
I wonder why they did that. I mean, I would assume just to sort of like a very
It's to level the
low.
playing field. It takes like Punisher
Well, no,
because of the price pool.
I meant for like the affiliate plus partner, because I assume it would have to be to like vet out the people that want to like cheat in the tournament. You know, that'd be my
I think
assumption.
it's to stop nobody's from entering the tournament, because part of it is to try and help build. Part of what Pastilli does is he always says he wants to help build content creators and build them up and give them exposure. So that's what it is. So by being Twitch affiliate minimum, you're one, proving your commitment to what you're doing, and they can go back and look at your streaming history and see who you are, rather than just Joe Blogs off the street saying I'm going to compete. La 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 la. So you've got some sort of receipt and paper trail as such as to your who you are and what you've been doing. But two, I feel that the reason that they've done it that way as affiliate plus is to encourage people to get involved, to encourage streamer growth. But because of the application process, it turns a lot of people and smaller streamers off. And you're able to kind of weed the grass a bit. You're able to get rid of some of the smaller players. So I mean, it's incredibly tough. I tried it last time, and completely honest, I rage quit. I can't stand running factory, and I hate the idea of having to COD play. Essentially, like the style of the tournament might be really good fun, but it's not for me. Like trying to get in and get as many kills as you can in X amount of hours. I mean, I'd just try and go in and get X amount of deaths in as many hours. I can't run and gun like these people can, and I don't ever pretend that I'm at their level in terms of play. I recently played in a competition from One Delta Street, and I had a really good time. Myself and my partner, we went to Interchange, and we were the smallest streamers in the group, and we had some really big names like Tweak, etc., playing in the competition. And to be completely honest, we thought we had done really well. Like we thought, got to be in the top 4. We smashed this, and we wiped every server. We got tons of kills, and out of the point scoring system, we had just under 200 points, and their highest ever had been like 216 points. So we were really, really happy with how we did. Turns out we were dead last, and the first place had doubled our score, and it just kind of shows that actually the difference between them and us was that we completed 7 raids in the 2-hour time period and did really well in those 7 raids. They completed 11, 12, 13 raids in the 2-hour time period and did better than us in every single raid. So from our perspective, you might be very good at playing Tarkov, but playing in Punisher and playing in the tournaments where it matters how quickly you can get in and out of raid and how quickly you can wipe the lobby. Actually, it requires a whole different mentality. And I think that's one of the reasons that Tweak struggled on Labs, is because he said that he doesn't play Labs all the time, but those Labs gamers do, and they literally run through Labs all the time. And I think playing in Factory is going to bring a whole new different world to it, because it's already proven that half these players can play on Factory, and it's the first map in the game. Like, everyone knows what it is, and it's going to be a great way to send off Factory before the expansion comes out. And I kind of feel that I could never ever rival them, so I don't even bother. I don't want to put myself through losing millions of rubles trying to run through and do a application video when I just don't think that it's going to work.
Would you be tempted, Church? Would you be tempted?
It's not really my cup of tea.
No?
No. I mean, maybe one day for fun. But
so I got convinced by chat because I was talking about it, and the thing is, right, for me, like the first Punisher one, I entered that because I thought, well, you may as well. Didn't get in, and then the second one with Labs, a bunch of people were like, "Oh, you should enter," and I was like, "There's just absolutely no way that I'm going to enter on Labs." And fair play to the guys like Airwing who did actually enter that, and clearly had a very tough time, right? Because it's an extremely competitive
really tough
with people who are very, very good, right? And so long as you can just go in and not worry about it too much and have fun, then that's fine. And I was talking about it the other day when I was doing my stream last week, and I was convinced that people were going, go on, just give it a go, just see what happens. So just try it out, because I was kind of playing factory anyway, because I'm still dabbling with the COD style play style at the moment. I'm actually having quite a lot of fun with it, so I've just kind of been like doing a bit more of it recently. And so chat convinced me to give it a go, and I did. I said, look, I'm probably going to get like 15 to 20 kills, something like that. I didn't get any kills in the first 5 minutes. So I did literally one run. So there's a bunch of people are doing like lots and lots and lots of different test runs for it and picking their best score, which is clearly what you should do. I've done one and didn't restart it, which is what I probably should have done, to be honest. After I got killed by a guy with an SVD right at the beginning, and it took like a while to match into the first 2 raids. And I think I didn't. Yeah, that I got. It just took me too long, basically. I didn't get any kills for the first 5 minutes at all. But overall, I got 19 on the very first one, with a 5-minute like dead loss time at the beginning, which actually for me I was quite pleased with, because I'm definitely not the best FPS player of all time, and definitely not the best factory player either. So I was quite pleased, to be honest, to get 19. I would quite have liked to got
19
20.
is really respectable. Like it's hard graft getting over 15 in the hour, and that's from me saying that from your normal play style, GigaBeef, from what I see of what you normally do, you would not be running and gunning. You're a cautious player. I know you never loot, so you're used to that expert element, but you're a cautious player, and you don't run into something lightly. Whereas the whole format of the Punisher composition and the application is to force you to just run round a corner and hope that you can kill them before they kill you.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
it's a really tough mentality to get into.
Yeah,
like,
and it's
really
very different. It's very different. But I have, and this is the thing, I wouldn't have done it if I wasn't enjoying it in some way, at least. And I did actually quite enjoy it, because I've been doing a lot more of it recently. I think it was when it all started really when I was doing Punishers 5 and 6, and I did both of them just through Factory. And I've always liked Factory kind of, but never really invested that much time in it. And I've just been doing more of it recently, and with Punisher, it's kind of incentivized me to do even more. And I've just kind of been enjoying myself, and I was doing more stuff with the MP7, and just kind of like everything just fitted together. And I actually had a good time. I might do more of it. I might do another one tomorrow, or maybe even 2. I might even do 2. I might do 2 tryouts, and we'll see, because I've got my 3-hour stream tomorrow, so I might do 2-hour sessions. But we'll see.
I know a streamer that does something similar every single time they come on, and so British Uber, really really nice guy. Absolutely a lot of time for him as a streamer. Go check him out. But every time he comes online on his stream, his warm up is to get 20 kills in Factory before he's allowed to go off and play another map or with any other people. And it's a huge boon to him, because one, he's used to running Factory, so he's particularly good at it. But it warms him up. He gets 20 kills off the bat, and then he goes into other maps, and there's no worry about it and stuff. And actually, it gets his PvP to a ridiculously high standard, and you can see the improvement when you go to watch how he was doing it a few months ago to what he's doing now. Actually, he's so used to being able to shoot around corners, and the kind of the meta play style of those quick running people, and that's just what I don't have. And so I could do the Factory tournament. Last time when I tried it, I got to 22 or 23 with 10 minutes to spare, and gave it all my all, and then I died twice in a row, and that was my time up. So I'm pretty sure I could get to 30 if I really wanted to try, and I'm sure I could go past it. But you have to have the Cinderella of RNG, and that's the bit that winds me up. Is it depends on what spawns you get, because if you don't get a forklift side, you're not going to get those quick kills to get out. You have to run across, and that's another minute down. If you are queuing in and you get anything over a minute matching, then you're wasting time. Like, half these people are able to match in less than a minute, and I just don't get that kind of luck. I end up matching for almost 2 minutes, and then you load into the game. So you're talking 4 minutes for every single raid is the objective with 3 kills. And I hate that kind of RNG and trying to play like that. It's not what Tarkov is, which is what upsets me about that tournament.
Yeah, I mean, it can be kind of tough. I mean, actually had like quite a few. It was weird. The chat did actually say, to be fair, because I was like, well, whatever, because I was just kind of doing like semi-casually anyway. And chat was like, you've actually had some really weird spawns, because I spawned forklift like 3 or 4 times, and there was literally nobody on my side of the map. So I was either against like some, a duo spawns in that like back corner plus someone over by gate 0, or like a full squad of 4 or whatever. Like it was kind of odd, which I guess you wouldn't get if you were playing the actual tournament. But it's quite funny because like I don't actually, I genuinely don't stand a chance against the guys who are going to be playing in Punisher. I'm more interested in benchmarking against myself to kind of just see like where I can get to. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a competition for me against myself. And I've actually said this on pretty much every podcast that we've done so far. This like since we started, in that this wipe for me is a wipe about self-improvement, because I know enough about the game. I know how to make money on my PMC. You can get like fabulously wealthy, but that's not necessarily making me better as a player. And so I'm spending more time this wipe thinking about me, where my deficiencies are, and trying to improve myself.
And what are they? What have you been trying to do?
Well, there's certain maps which I'm very bad at. You probably are quite aware that I'm a terrible at interchange, like absolutely god awful at interchange.
Best map at the moment.
So I'd still like to get better at interchange, but I've only done a bit of it, and I got sidetracked with this whole factory thing. And then some of the proper sort of hardcore close range fast style of PvP, which is really what I'm working on at the moment with it, and it just fits nicely into the fact that there's the Punisher going on, and I said I was making a factory video and that kind of thing, and it's kind of ended up quite nicely. And I wanted to get better at reserve as well.
The reserve's a tough one for me.
It's not that I actually quite like the map, and the map's not. I feel like reserve is weird because it's like it's easy to learn and hard to master. I think.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely one of those type of maps, because interchange I just find it's just really hard, just the whole time. It's hard to learn. It's hard to master. The whole thing's difficult. I just struggle. Whereas reserve, it's kind of like I kind of know the whole map, sort of, but not like in depth. You know what I mean? And so because of that, it's like you get shot out of like random angles where you're not quite expecting it, and that kind of thing. Which is another reason why I've enjoyed playing Factory, because you can kind of control everything, because you pretty much know like the entire map, pretty much piece by piece, every corridor, every angle, every corner, and it's quite formulaic when you go through, because it's like I have to cover this angle and then this angle, and there's a guy who might be sat behind here, and then I've got to pre-put my cursor here, and you can, because there's less things to think about. I find on interchange I get a bit overwhelmed because there's so much to try and do. Whereas on Factory, it's like I can focus on certain specific elements, and I don't have to worry about the map, and I don't have to worry about certain angles to cover or whatever, because it's like smaller and there's less to do. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do, really. That's what I'm trying to do. Oh, that, and become a rampant Bitcoin speculator. Which is anybody who's followed my Twitter seen that I've just got a vast, growing speculative
I've seen your tweet
of Bitcoins, which I think is probably over 40 mil now.
It was almost up to 800k last night. It would have been a great time to sell it all.
It would have. So clearly, I kept it all.
I mean, I've been trying to use full auto, so I'm a semi-fire gamer. I'm terrible at full auto, and so this wipe I've been trying to get better with full auto, and I am definitely one of these people that will shoot a 60 round mag and get 1 or 2 shots on target because I'm just terrible at doing it. And so I've been trying to get better at it, and so as part of that I've been running a lot more red dots and holographics than scopes, because I always ran the Valde and or the Alcan, and so I've been using a lot more holographics and stuff, and now I'm kind of in that point where I'm not amazing with a holographic and a red dot and full auto, but I'm now really rusty at anything with a scope. So I kind of I used to be a great player with semi-auto guns, and now I can't say I'm great at anything except dying. So I'm in that hard part now where I've got to kind of work out what I want to do, because I miss using the ADA. I love the ADA. It's one of my best guns. And I feel like you spend so much on ammo when you run full auto, and I waste it.
I had a very interesting chat a while back with somebody in my own chat about that, and about why running an ADAR versus an M4 can actually be quite a good thing. Because I said, look, well, you always want to have the ability to full auto, surely. Like, why would you give that up? And it only costs you 12,000 rubles or something to upgrade to get that full auto. And his argument was that actually, knowing that it isn't there changes the way that you take engagements and then end up fighting, because like I kind of ended up agreeing with him, because like I do use it as a crutch sometimes, and you're just like, oh, I'm not quite sure what to do, so I'll just hold down left click until the man goes away. But if you are aware keenly in the back of your mind that you don't actually have the ability to full auto, then you're going to be much more inclined to try to place your shots and try to actually go for that headshot specifically, rather than just like spraying, as you say, 30, 60 rounds at a dude and just try to, snag a random headshot. I thought it was an interesting thing about the psychology of it, even though it's objectively better to have full auto as an option, because the guns are the same otherwise, right? You can just keep it on semi if you wanted to. But that psychological aspect of knowing that you don't have full auto can change the way that you play. And I thought that was quite interesting. I did.
I think it's definitely got merit. I don't know what you think, Ghost, but I think that's definitely true. If you know that you're not full auto, you're going to choose your engagement a bit more careful than just running around the corner blindly.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking, I was playing some woods earlier, and I'm really bad at sniping. I noticed, because you have to A, be patient, and B, you have to make your shot count. You have to hit him in the head if you want to, especially if you're using a bolty. And my previous plus with Tarkov, how it's just you can just full auto people. That plus just playing a lot of Counter-Strike clones when I was younger, and being used to being as long as I hit him in the from the legs and up anywhere, they're gonna die. It's one hit kill. So that, it's so instinctive for me just to see something and move my mouse and click, and so yeah, that's I think sniping's frustrating for me because I'm bad at it, to be quite honest with you.
Sniping is hard in Tarkov, though. I will say, between people kind of moving around and the player movement, people are a long way away, and there's lots of obstacles, and people move about. People turn at the last second, or they crouch at the last moment, and you shoot over the top of their head, and that kind of thing. It's
they're standing still, they're looking, and I line it up, and they start moving. It's oh my god, I should have shot sooner. I should have done this. You start questioning stuff. It's it's a sick cycle.
Oh yeah, I did actually have a completely random question that I wanted to ask you. It's completely in on topic and in vogue right now. Which armband gang are you in?
Yellow, this is important. Baby. Let's go. Yellow gang.
I'm the naked man. I don't have one on at the moment because I haven't found a Twitch Rivals armband, so I don't want to don one before I've got all of the choices of what I can make.
Well, I'm definitely.
I forced blue for the competition, so everyone has to wear blue for my comps.
I'm definitely a Twitch Rivals armband guy. I have one though. I have a second one.
I mean, Mister, I've got 40 million rubles sat in Bitcoin and 2 Twitch rival armbands that are worth 100 mil each. Okay. Well, yeah, easily get money.
Because I could have traded one for a green key card the other day on the flea. And when I last looked, I was I wonder if this, now that everyone's talking about armbands, I wonder whether the price has gone up at all. And now you have to trade 2 for a green key card. I was no, that's not fair. My God.
I mean, you could get, I think the worst I saw was 3 thick item cases for a Twitch Rivals, and someone did it.
Dude, why? I can't wrap my head around it.
An armband. But
I mean, funny
in fairness, I was going to say, in fairness, Battlestate have done it because they're now non-lootable, so people love it. People want it. I can't wait for a cosmetic hat not to be lootable, so you can start wearing Santa hat all year. So wait,
you have to get the armband from the scav case. Is that how you get it?
Yeah.
Or from you can find them on scavs as well, but it's incredibly rare.
Okay.
I believe.
Yeah, and I agree with it, right? It's it is quite funny when you see the trades up there for as you said, the 3 thick cases or something, because you could only get 1 fine and raid thick now, I think. And so it's I always find it hilarious when you have those trades that are not even possible up on the market.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's ridiculous what people are trying to get for it and stuff. And I think the point being that actually fit cases and stuff are less desirable at the moment. People seem to be spending all of their money on GPUs to get their Bitcoin farm to 50, and then stuff like Twitch Rivals or keys. I kind of feel like the rush to get your GPU farm up to level 50, or to 50 max GPUs is huge, just because of how much they're worth. Everyone wants 3 Bitcoins a day because it's the best part of the 2.1 mil a day for free for doing nothing.
I think they increased the graphics card crafting time again as well. There's another point.
Yeah. I thought they might have
earlier. I think it's now 80 hours. I don't really know why. I mean,
it felt like it took longer. They also fuel went up a little bit. It used to be 142, now it's 152.
Yeah, not that it makes any difference, right? It makes no practical difference. So I'm not really sure. I'm not sure what the deal is there, but we'll see. We'll see.
Have you heard about the general? I didn't realize this, but there's actual people that are starting wars between white and I think it's red and Twitch rival armbands. Like there's actual factions growing within the communities of people that are siding with these armbands.
Yeah, I think it's funny.
And going in 5-mans and trying to find other people with other armbands and stuff. Like it's a whole new form of the game. Like PMC, scavs, no, cultist doesn't matter anymore. Armbands is the way to go.
Exactly. They thought it was USEC versus Bear, but
no.
I think it's
armbands.
I think it's
red
pretty cool
blue.
Because they made that change a while ago where you couldn't armbands were unlootable, and we haven't really seen like where was that change heading towards. So it's like really interesting. I mean, maybe that's coming with the Black Division or something, but it's very interesting how they made that change, and now just like
it's
this meme's going. You know, it's just like it's super interesting.
It's their first step into microtransactions for customizable characters. But it's not microtransactions in the sense you have to buy them, you have to earn them, which I like. But it's the point being that it's the first step in, like, obviously you can buy all of your uniforms from Ragman, and you can get your killer outfit from running and killing a killer 100 times and paying a lot of money, 6 mil, to get the tracksuit. But it's the kind of first one where you can get randomly by chance and it's unlootable, and it's kind of like the trophy of look, I've got one on type situation. And so I'm interested to see what they start doing with that similarly to other things. Like you've got the silly task to do killer's tracksuit, but potentially you might be able to start finding clothes while in raid and looting them and being able to bring them back. I'd quite like to, not to have specific spawns. One thing I've always wanted with Tarkov is completely random spawns. So there isn't a spawn point for graphics cards. It could spawn anywhere at any point in any of the stores in Interchange. You have to search them to get it. And I'd love for them to do something like that with cosmetic items, almost, that you could potentially find them somewhere in Interchange or in a shop or something, and you could pick it up and take it out and either sell it or wear it or whatever. I don't know. Just as long as they don't do microtransactions that you have to pay for or loot boxes, I'm fine. Or a season pass.
I don't think they would. I don't think they would.
I hope not.
But yeah, I've always been a fan of the idea of doing a much more dynamic loot. I don't mind there being like tiers of loot, like, oh, this is a low tier loot spawn, this is a medium tier, this is high tier. Like that's fine, that's completely okay. But yeah, they're just like making it a bit more variable would be nice, so that people don't just like run exactly the same spot and like
90% of the stores in Interchange have basically 0 loot spawns.
Yeah,
like,
which is a shame.
There's so much potential.
It is indeed. It's a big shame. It's a big shame.
Well, should we wrap it up here? Was there anything else you guys want to talk about? Any closing thoughts?
I don't think so. I think that was everything that I had on my agenda. How long have we been running? I don't have it up because I've not had
1 hour and 15 minutes odd.
Okay. Well, that's probably perfect to wrap it up then, I think.
Yeah.
I'm good anyway.
So thank you very much, guys, for having me. And if anyone wants to compete in a face-off tournament or anything like those, like that, I'm sure you'll be able to get the link in the description below. Cheers, Church. And you'll be able to join up to the face-off Discord and be able to come and compete and enter with your chance to win your very own personalized Tarkov dog tags, which are available for sale.
Yeah, for audio listeners, where can they go to get the information for this? Where's the best way?
On which bit? On the
to sign up for a tournament? Yes.
So the best place to go to would be to go to. Oh, that's a really good question for Audible listeners. So probably my Discord, my Twitch channel to self promote, just because there's an easy way of getting to the Discord. But essentially, I'll give you a link to the Discord, the Twitch, as the face-off Discord for you to put into the link below. So it's probably the easiest way, and it's a never expiring link, so you can just join through the in the description below this video. And when you come in, say hello. And there's a lot of people waiting to say hello back.
And for the avoidance of doubt, that's shifty_TTV_.
Thank you very much. Yeah, don't forget that last underscore.
And I have played in Shifty's face-off tournaments, and I can attest they are fun. So
we have one this Sunday on the 14th, and we have one on Sunday the 28th as well. So the solo comp on the 28th has still got applications open, and will do for the next 4 or 5 days. So if you want to join, there's applications open, and the link will be in the description below. And if you want to come along and watch, shifty_TTV_ on Twitch on Sunday at 7 p.m. GMT for the first raid of the EU competition. There we go.
Excellent.
Cool. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. We appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your week and take care.
Have a good one. Bye for now.
Bye.